Bonjour, thank you for joining me today. So today we are going to be looking at conjugation of verbs, and we're going to be starting with present tense, which is called présent de l'indicatif in French. So present tense is a way that we express that we talk about something or an action that is happening at the moment, and in French, present tense is also known as present continuous. So if I say je parle, it means I speak or I am speaking. So before we move on, let's talk about the three groups of verbs in French. So nous avons trois groupes de verbes en français. Nous avons les verbes qui se terminent en ER. Those are the verbs in ER. Les verbes qui se terminent en IR. Those are the verbs in IR. Et les verbes qui se terminent en RE. Those are the verbs those are RE verbs. So before we go on, let's talk about l'infinitif du verbe. L'infinitif du verbe is what we find when we check the dictionnaire. Si nous cherchons un dictionnaire, what we're going to find is called l'infinitif du verbe. So the form of the verb that we're going to find there is infinitif du verbe. So that means the verb in the dictionary has not been conjugated. And another thing you should notice that when we talk about infinitif du verbe, when we have two verbs, one verb will be conjugated, the second verb must rest à l'infinitive, must be in the infinitive form. So, pour former le présent, nous avons besoin de les pronoms personnels du sujet, la racine du verbe et les terminaisons. So for us to be able to conjugate verbs, we need the subject personal pronoun plus the root of the verb, which is known as la racine du verbe, plus les terminaisons. Les terminaisons are ending of the verbs. So let's talk about les pronoms personnels du sujet. So we have je, tu, il, elle, on, nous, vous, il, elle. Je, tu, il, elle, on, they are singular. Nous, vous, il, elle are plural. Then we have la racine du verbe. How do we get the racine du verbe? It's very easy. What we need to do is that when we have our ER verb, we'll remove the ER. Whatever we have left is going to be our racine, which is the root of the verb. For example, if we have the verb jouer, when we remove the ER from jouer, we have joue. So joue would be racine du verbe. So here we have parler, we remove ER, we have parle. So parle is what we work with to conjugate our verbs. Voici les terminaisons. These are les terminaisons. So our terminaison for je is E. Terminaison for tu is ES. Terminaison for il, E. Terminaison for elle is E. Terminaison for on, it's the same thing. When we get to nous, terminaison for nous is ONS. Vous, terminaison for vous is EZ. Then il and elle ends in ENT. So this is what we're going to have when we conjugate the verb je parle, the verb parler. So we have je parle, tu parles, il parle, elle parle, nous parlons, vous parlez, il parle, elle parle. So je parle, I speak or I am speaking. So like I said, it can be present tense or present continuous tense. So please take note that the E here is silent. Here we don't pronounce, we stop at parle, we don't say parles. Then here we say parlons, here we say parler. Here we don't pronounce the ENT, we just stop at parle. So ENT is always silent in the il and the elle of the plural form. So let's look at quelques phrases. So les phrases, so nous avons je parle français. Est-ce que tu parles chinois? Do you speak Chinese? Oui, je parle. So this is our verb here. Je parle chinois. Vous parlez anglais. So here you can use questioning by intonation. And we can also do inversion du verbe et du sujet. And if we do that, that becomes parlez-vous. Parlez-vous anglais? Non, je ne parle pas anglais. So no, I don't speak English. Parles-tu allemand et espagnol? Oui, il parle allemand et espagnol. So allemand, German, espagnol, Spanish. So we have another verb which is jouer. Jouer is the verb to play. So we can, most times when we use the verb jouer, we usually use it with preposition like jouer à, jouer avec, or jouer de. So we have je joue, tu joues, il joue, elle joue, on joue. Nous jouons, vous jouez, il, elle joue. So this is what we have. Je joue, I play, or I am playing. So let's look at some phrases, quelques phrases. Je joue avec mon frère, I play with my brother. Je joue avec ma camarade de classe, I play with my classmate. So another verb is aimer. So this is an activity for you to fill this up with terminaison. At the end of the whole thing, this is what you're going to have. J'aime, tu aimes, il aime, elle aime. On aime, nous aimons, vous aimez, ils aiment, elles aiment. Then we have visiter. Nous visiter, parler is to speak. Nous parlons français. That's the verb here. Visiter, vous visitez Québec. Aimer, j'aime le sport. Étudier, Claire étudie les finances. Habiter, ma cousine habite à Montréal. Inviter, j'invite un copain au restaurant. So with the verb visiter, we can only use this for places. To visit people, we say rendre visite. And another thing you should note is that when we have a verb that starts with a vowel, we usually use at the je level, it's J apostrophe. So that's why we have je. Okay, so we talk about the letters. So we have Lee and Melanie. So your task here is to fill this up with the form of visiter. Yeah, and you're going to conjugate this as your devoir.